All
right,
I'm not
done.
saying.
I'll see
I'm
you
not
later.
saying. Hold on.
It's been great. It's been a great 3 episodes, I guess, and the fairy tale. What's up, guys? I'm Josh, otherwise known as Xell, and with me
is Crim, also known as the Asian Avenger,
and we are the Nii-San Podcast. Oh wait, this way. Maybe I'm supposed to be this way. Okay.
Editor, flip me, or whatever direction this needs to be to work. All right, perfect.
All right.
How are you?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm pretty excited, specifically for this episode, because we're gonna, with in between times, right? Like the weeks, I would say we'd want to wait about 2 weeks to really get an in-depth view of this week in anime. So what, the in between? This is the filler episode. This is our beach episode. All right, here's our beach episode. I think it's the perfect time to talk about, what back in our day, our anime boomer days actually means, right?
We made so many old man references last episode that we just had to go back to our time in ancient history when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Yeah, when we still had dial-up.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Get off the phone!
Yeah. The amount of times that I used to get yelled at by my mom for being on the internet when she's trying to call me.
Yeah.
So many times.
I definitely got chewed out a lot by my dad. I'm on a business call. Why are you on the internet? Yeah. I'm watching anime. No, you couldn't even watch anime on there. You actually had to buy the DVD.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty wild. So what I think today is the perfect day to go over. Well, we got to have one, right? A top 10. It's the top 10 animes from 2000 to 2010. Which feels really farther away the more I think about it now.
I mean, now 2010 is 11 years ago.
Yeah.
I can do math. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, so, editor, we're just going to fast forward this part where Xell and I slowly are coming to grips with
30. We can have drinks now with people who were born after Y2K.
Dude,
isn't that crazy?
Y2K was crazy within itself. But anyways, this isn't a retirement home for a bunch of old weebs. What we're here for is we gotta go over the sweetest animes from 2000 to 2010. Our top 10 lists will include animes from that era, and I think there's a lot of really, really good animes from that time that are kind of like the backbone of what you see today. And so for the newer people, you're like, oh, I didn't know it went back that far in time or anything like that. And then of course there's the, everyone that's around our age and maybe even older, like, oh, y'all are just the same age as us. Don't worry about it. And you'll know exactly what we're talking about because these animes are, pretty popular. And I think the one thing I want to also go over is this list, my list, at least. I don't know about yours, Xell, but our top 10 lists will most likely be what animes we really like. I think top 10 is just my favorites, not a top 10 overall. This should have won 19 Golden Globes and all this other stuff. Some of the writing on some of these shows may not be better than others. I just think that these shows were important to me and shaping the anime person that I've become.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to note too is back in the day, anime just wasn't as prevalent as it is today. Nowadays, if you want to watch a show, it's probably on Crunchyroll or Funimation or Netflix, Hulu. There's so many places to watch anime. Back then, I remember coming home and I worked for all my anime. Walked both ways up the hill to watch my anime. No, it was just you get what you could get, right? Toonami was big, Adult Swim, and then sometimes you got DVDs that had dubs or whatever and subs, but sometimes there really wasn't a good place for a lot of this stuff. So I don't know. I think because one of my guesses is that for a lot of the people who watched anime during this era of 2000, 2010, I bet you their top 10 list would share a lot of the same anime because, that's just what we were given, right? So, but I'm interested to see what we differ on in these anime lists. So,
and I think one more thing to point out is back in that era, to especially 2000 to 2005 ish. I think the best way to get your anime fix was really to read manga.
Yeah.
I was heavily reading manga at that time because I think I was in middle school from 2000. Oh, God, no. 2000? Actually, 2003 was 8th grade, I think. So 2002, yeah, is 7th, and 2001, 6th grade. Yeah, sounds of... Oh.
Wow.
Okay, anyways.
We're dinosaurs,
wow.
man.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's go.
I'm Xell, and welcome to the Ojii-San Podcast.
What?
The Ojii-San Podcast.
Okay, no mayonnaise.
All right, let's get into these lists. All right, okay.
Let's do it.
All right, you want to start first?
You know what? I will, Xell. I will. First, I'll start off with my honorable mentions because this took me a very long time to narrow down to just 10 anime. 10. And I could only have 10. So my honorable mentions, you're going to see a trend here on why these are lumped together and not necessarily top 10, but okay. So we're going to start here with High School of the Dead, Heaven's Lost Property, Chobits, and Ai-Yori-Aoshi. These are some... Look, all right, these are a type of anime, okay?
Yeah,
there is a certain type of anime that are kind of being linked here. Okay, Ai-Yori-Aoshi is actually good, though. That's a good romance, fun, like rom-com style anime.
That's a blast from the past.
Okay, see, that one is quality. I could still see me recommending that to people now. These other ones, there is a lot of plot. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of plot.
Yo, I'm glad you mentioned Chobits because that was also in my notables. Chobits, by the way, still has a super banger opener. The opening song. Ooh, 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 yeah, ooh, yeah, let me be with you. I love that song. That song was a banger. I loved it. I played Step Mania to that song all the time. That was what I did in the 2000s.
Make me a clip of Xell doing that, and I'm just going to play that all the time. That's just going to be my stream notification.
That song was so good. I loved it. And yeah, Chobits had some questionable content for sure.
Yeah.
There was actually back then there was so much questionable content. Like I was looking at the list. So the way I developed my list was I went to my anime list and I looked at all the anime that came out between 2000 2010. And some of these, like To Love Ru was one of the questionable ones. I see that you recognize what I'm talking about, and it's like I don't think I could
watched it. Yeah, okay.
I don't think I could ever recommend these things to people anymore. But
we're gonna go over that too, by the way, and like whether these animes that are on our list that we could still recommend.
Yeah.
but To Love Ru, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
High School of the Dead has one of the most infamous. Plot, yes, but also some of the most infamous scene I feel in all of like the ecchi tag world of anime. Like when you think of when somebody says booby anime, High School of the Dead has to have the most iconic scene with the sniper rifle.
Yes.
And how the physics. Exactly.
If you know what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you can imagine
everyone else, don't worry about it. We're just gonna give you a wink and say, okay, don't worry about us.
Wanted's got nothing on High School of the Dead, especially that scene.
Wanted is based off of this. Okay, no, it's not. But like, and then of course, Heaven's Lost Property. I don't know if you know it.
I don't know this one.
It's about the angels that come to Earth, and they're also. It's plot heavy. Let's go with that. Okay. Very plot heavy. So those are my honorable ones, and I'm not gonna lie to you. Those animes.
I don't think they're so honorable.
I guess they are mentions. They are mentions, and Chobits is a mention. But Ai-Yori-Aoshi is an honorable mention. I feel like that anime shouldn't be lumped together with these other three because I think Ai-Yori-Aoshi is still good. It's still fun and it's still charming. So I don't know if you've got any honorable mentions before we go into our 10.
So I mean, I looked down that list. So there's a couple of honorable mentions that were, I think, notable, but I haven't personally watched. So like these are ones that I assume other people have watched, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, why wasn't this in your top 10?" Like for me, Monster is on there. People love that one. Bakano. I never watched, but I've heard great things about. And same thing with Spice and Wolf, which is like one of the like OG romance / like people say Holo is like basically top tier waifu of all time, like up there. So yeah, anyways. Thank you, Crim. And then the other notables for me are the ones that were adapted from Clamp manga. So Clamp manga they're like a conglomerate of artists who work together on a bunch of mangas, and they put out a bunch of stuff, and during this time they adapted a lot of them. So a couple of the shows that I wanted to mention were like XX-Holic, Tsubasa, Cardcaptor, I think Chobits might have been Clamp too. Maybe I'm wrong there. But
no,
like
that's Tokyo. Wasn't that on Tokyo? Wait, hold on. Tokyo Pop doesn't necessarily mean Clamp.
Yeah, I don't know where they were published necessarily, but like this was a time where a lot of those manga that was done by Clamp got adapted, and like so I wanted to shout those out. So yeah. Anyways.
Okay. So yeah, those are honorable mentions. There's probably a ton more.
There's
Let us
so
know
many.
in the comments in our subreddit, because there's so many. But yeah, so yours truly did like some more ecchi anime growing up. But yeah, anyways,
you were a growing young boy. As
look,
I say.
There was a lot of science that I was looking up. Okay, so the thing here is number 10. Anyways, is Scried.
Oh yeah.
I really liked Scried. Now, obviously, if you asked me every corner of detail from that anime, I could not tell you, as it's been so long since I've watched it, but it's up on Crunchyroll now. And so I highly recommend it. If you don't remember, it's like everybody has this special ability, right? And like, so the main character was this red-haired dude who his arm had like kind of like became this super sweet, like, you know, claw-like thing. And the story behind it now, as I think back to it, is kind of very, very basic how you would look at, like, you know, shonen style stuff now, but I think it's pretty cool. Like everything that it wanted to be. It was the perfect mixture of like a sci-fi, but also like it was a shonen sci-fi, and I thought that was fun. I hadn't seen many things like it at this point, and it was on Adult Swim at a point. I remember going to like Anime Expo and like seeing everybody with the special, you know, the hand. So it was different for me. It hit a lot different. I mean, there were sci-fi movies or shows, but there just weren't that many done with the shonen style feel to it, right? Like Cowboy Bebop by now had already been out, but that's like late 90s, right? But Bebop isn't done in a shonen way. It's just a good sci-fi show that I would recommend, right? But like this has definitely got now, okay, you take the sci-fi elements that you love and you mix it with a shonen.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember reading the manga for Scried, and I honestly don't remember, except I thought that guy's arm was really cool. That was all I remember. That's all I remember.
I mean, what does that say about us as society, right? I mean, we love the like Infinity Gauntlet's badass. It's just like, yo, something about a glove, a metallic glove. Just sign me up, dude.
I know that reference now, Infinity Gauntlet, because I just finally watched the Infinity War movie.
Right, I forgot you had told me that. I thought you were trolling me.
Like, no, I'm for real. I've been catching up on the Marvel movies, and now I know what the gauntlet is. So, and okay, I know what the snap means now too. I mean, there were so many things. Like, it was funny when I watched that movie, I realized how many things were spoiled to me by memes, but I hadn't known yet. And so I'd be watching the scenes and be like, oh, I've seen that in a meme before. What did it cost? Everything. I know this line. Anyways.
My home. You know, like yeah, like there's so many memes from it. But yeah, so now like, but right, like growing up, there's this fascination with like just fancy hands.
Yeah,
right?
Fancy hands. Trigun was the same way. Yeah. You know. The first time you saw Vash's like gun arm thing.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, as I think back to it, it's like, maybe it could have been, it wasn't as sick as I remember, but yo, the show is sweet still.
Middle school me was very easy to impress. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Which meant a lot if you didn't impress, if the anime didn't impress. But what about you? What's your number 10?
My number 10 is actually one that I think most of my list, I think at this point, a lot of people will have known. But my number 10 is Death Note, the first half. Death Note was just like one of the coolest anime / manga that had come out around that time. And I was one of the big reasons I got back into anime. Death Note came out during that time, right? Am I crazy here?
Actually, hold on. Let me look up the date because I'm not sure.
I thought it was at the tail end of it.
No, because didn't Death Note, the manga got adapted after the movie, right? In 2017? Just trolling you, dude. I'm just trolling you. There's no live action movie. There's no live action.
Okay, the original manga run was 2003 to 2006.
Yeah, no, it is.
Okay.
It does.
Okay,
it does
Jesus. I was like, oh my God. Am I
was
crazy
doing
here?
the joke. I was doing the slow build to reference the really bad movie. But yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
On Netflix.
Yeah, no, I love that one too. I did not. No, he did not. But yeah, Death Note, the first half of it in particular was just like so amazing. And it was one of the, because I was a very closet weeb. So it was funny because you mentioned that you went to Anime Expo like back in those days. When was the first time you went to Anime Expo?
I think that was 2001.
Yeah,
that's sixth grade.
That's crazy to me because like I grew up in Minnesota and like the Midwest is just a cultural black hole, and so I didn't know people liked anime. I didn't know like conventions were a thing, and so like for me it was just like I was a very closeted weeb essentially. It was just like me and my nerdy friends who would talk about it, but Death Note was like one of the big turning points where I felt like a lot of people started really getting into anime after Death Note came out because I don't know, Death Note's just at this point a classic. Like you might not think that it's all that great anymore, but to me I still think of it as like probably a lot of people's like real gateway anime.
I see. For me, Death Note was more so the art style that made me really like it. It was a lot darker than the usual like things that I like that was out on TV at the time, right? Or like in most of the anime media. I really like the artwork. Obviously, story maybe it's like kind of simple, but like I really like the artwork,
dude.
Then.
I mean, as a kid, I loved like the I am very smart type of media. So like growing up, some of my favorite books were not Ender's Game, but the Shadow series where it follows Bean. I don't know if you've read Ender's Game, but
I've watched it.
Oh God damn it, Crim! The books are so good. Anyways, the Shadow series follows like the really smart kid Bean and like his story, and like I loved like smart characters like that. And so Death Note for me was really fun because like L's super smart. Kira, what's his face? L and Kira are both really smart, and their like whole cat and mouse thing was just super fun. And Death Note at this point, I still highly recommend people who haven't watched it to watch it because I think it's just a classic and didn't end particularly that well, but I still love that anime.
Which, by the way, to also go back to that, I forgot that part. I do still recommend Scried.
Oh yeah,
that's still good.
Maybe I should go back and watch
it. It's on Crunchyroll. So I can still recommend that anime, or maybe I just like because I started rewatching it again, and the animation, whatever, sure, right? But like compared to now, but it's still good. The story's still there. The ideas still get across, and it's still fun. So Death Note, I also could still recommend.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Wait, is your list ordered? I didn't really do much thinking about ordering my list, so
I ordered my list.
Oh gosh, you're so organized. Okay, well I'm gonna just.
That's the first time anybody's ever told me that. Thank you.
I take that back. Actually, from all the times I'd had to chase you down for raid stuff.
Exactly. See. So okay. Moving on to number 9. So in the realm of harems, right, and things like that. Mine, I think this one is from 2008, so a little more current. The animation still hangs in there. It's still on Netflix. Rosario Vampire.
Oh.
Or number 9. Number 9 is Rosario Vampire. Now, I loved, like everyone loved Mocha, and don't get me wrong, Mocha's great. And this is just your typical harem, but now placed in the world of monsters. So there's succubus, there's yetis, yetis, sure, ice creatures and all these other things, but they're all, of course, cute or pretty, anime girls, right? Instead. So Mizure is the one that stole my heart. I think, and she was my favorite character. And the show is just, the humor is dumb. It's your typical, it's what you see a lot of now in a lot of the harems, but at the time, it was really cool to see more monster, like not monster Musume levels of ridiculous, but like, monster girls that aren't really monster girls. You know what I mean? They're just like pretty much basic human beings. And the main character, I really liked it. Mocha, when, she'd become her purely evil vampiric form. It was like harem Yu-Gi-Oh. It's the pharaoh, right? It's the pharaoh. So the main girl, she had like the pharaoh's abilities, and essentially she would either be her sweet, pink, when she's in her pink hair form, she's this sweet angelic person, but then when she gets the huge step on me energy, when she becomes the gray haired, like her voice is like 10 octaves lower, and she's like super badass and speaks like I don't know. She was just really cool, and the show was fun to watch.
And that was also Crim's awakening to step on the mommies.
That was when I knew.
It all started.
That was when I knew I was very much so awake. Also, I like to lightly touch on that too. I would never tell anybody this around that time, because even being in the, in California, I don't think I told anybody I was into anime growing up, right? Like, that was it wasn't cool to be openly outward about your anime love and all that stuff. Like, Anime Club, I wanted to join, but I couldn't step near it. And so, which is funny because I am now 110% me and I don't hide anything. So, but yeah, like, I just hid that part of me. And so, like when people are like, haha, you're attracted to a 2D character, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not. but now I'm like, word, yeah.
Well, for me, it was like Anime Club back then was like, they were like too much. I was like, I love anime, but like, I'm not going to go run around with the Naruto headband and like, and these are the same kids who all like learned how to break dance too. And so they would be like the kids who are like break dancing in the middle of the hallways between classes, and everybody would be like, I guess that's impressive, but you're also in my way. Can you like not do that here? Like,
yo, that's cool. A really cool flair, but can you move?
Yeah, can you just like do that like not in the middle of the hallway? So that was,
okay.
And so like everybody in the Anime Club just felt like they like desperately wanted attention as like an Anime Club person, and I was like, that's not me. I just like this stuff.
If you were an Anime Club person and you were growing up in the early 2000s, you're my hero.
Yeah, honestly, you guys have way more chutzpah than any of us.
Yeah, like you lived your life, right? Like I was buckling under the fears of like,
I want to be socially accepted.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so y'all were just truly at the YOLO stage of your life super early on. So that's
they Naruto ran so we could Naruto walk. Or is it the other way around? I don't know.
I think it works the way I get where you're going with it. Okay, so that's the point. You can correct us, but that is actually very true. So, but yeah, did you ever watch Rosario Vampire?
I did not. Yeah, the vampire stuff that I liked was like Hellsing. But I didn't really like the original anime that much. I just liked the manga.
Ultimate.
Okay.
Anyways. So yeah, like, okay. So it seems that I might be I've always loved rom-coms and I've always loved harems. So you're going to see as my list progresses. Would I recommend Rosario Vampire? If you like the harem type shows, but with a monster twist to it, I can still recommend it. It's not like something ridiculously weird or whatever it is now. It's not like Monster Musume levels, right? Like if you showed this anime now, I would be like, oh, this is so tame. This is so tame compared to what exists. So check it out. It's fun. I'd still recommend it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh my God. My list is like super, super normie, but whatever. This one's probably one of my lesser known ones, I guess, on my list. And it's one of my like personal favorites. Darker Than Black. Darker Than Black was a show that not a lot of people like watched, I think, but had just like a super cool concept. The art style, the character designs were really cool. Basically, it was about this guy. It's about a world where people basically have My Hero Academia quirks, but they always come at some kind of cost. Where like, for example, one guy has a power, but then after he uses his power, he has to go to a nearby book and start like folding pages of the book to restore like his energies, essentially, to be able to use his power again. So like everybody had these like weird quirks and whatever, and you follow the story of this one guy, Hiei, who kind of goes around and deals with other people with powers and like captures them, whatever. And it just has like a really cool, mature, and like edgy vibe that I just really liked. And yeah, I don't know. It's one that I feel like not enough people have watched, and I personally really love it.
Yeah, I don't think I watched this, but I remember seeing a lot of the masks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The dude's
love
mask.
the mask. I wanted one as a kid so bad. I wanted to do that for Halloween or something.
Like the mask was super cool, but I never understood what I kind of thought it was like Hollywood Undead or something like that. But okay. Would you still recommend it? Do you think it still holds up?
It probably still holds up. The animation's actually really good. I think Darker Than Black also came out.
It's from 2007.
Yeah, it came out like later in the era that we're talking about. So the animation's still pretty good, and the story. Season 1, I think, is way better than season 2. Like the endings, dude. Anime and endings just like they do not mix. They're like oil and water. But the overall vibe of the show is something that I think a lot of people can appreciate. So,
okay, all right. So, continuing on with our list here.
I'm so excited for your list, actually.
Wait, why?
Because your list has like is so spicy compared to mine. Mine's like a vanilla wafer.
What are you talking about?
I mean, my list is like Vampire Rosario.
Clearly, this person is going through puberty. If you look at this list right here.
Well, the fact that that's your top 10 is still spicier than mine, I think, because mine's just like mostly edgy stuff.
Well, okay. So mine isn't just plot anime, but the thing here is, coming in as my other anime would be Samurai Champloo.
Ooh, yes.
I think this was such a big one for me, just because it was the first time I had ever seen an anime that had the perfect mixture of this like kind of like lo-fi hip hop. Kind of in like this super hip hop inspired soundtrack that had this super sweet, like it felt like if you asked me to turn like the Wu-Tang Clan's discography into an anime, this is something it would be like, right? So this was really cool to me to see. Like you had the two different styles too. At that time, you had seen tons of samurai between like Kenshin, all this other stuff, right, and every other variation and spinoff. And so then you got to see like Mugen. Mugen was a new type of character, and like this is also one of those shows where oftentimes everybody likes to meme, like subs over dubs, but the dub was good.
Yeah.
The dub was very good. And of course, to nobody's surprise, you have like Stephen Bloom, I believe, or who voiced Mugen.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Like the English, okay, hold on. I get Stephen Bloom and David Hayter confused all the time. No, it's Steve Bloom. Okay. Yeah.
Hayter's the guy in Metal Gear. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, not
guy.
Solid Snake. So, and like Stephen Bloom's also done like I think like Wolverine, all this other stuff, and so his voice is just so noticeable and so recognizable for me. And the dub was amazing. It was I feel like there wasn't anything lost in translation. Every voice actor nailed their part perfectly. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you wanted to watch the sub version, still good. Everything about the show still holds up. I mean, it sucks because there is one common flaw, but that's gonna just be applied to almost every action shonen anime from this era, and it's that very weak female characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, it's just like, like you don't like we have Jujutsu Kaisen, we have all these things now and like all these sweet new shows who have just gotten way better at writing cool like female characters, right?
I liked Fu though, honestly. I thought she was okay. Maybe if I rewatched it now, maybe I'd feel differently.
Watch it again. Also, the animation is not as good as
really. That's so surprising to me.
Well, maybe because I watch, like, you know, through a streaming service, right? Through a streaming service, it's like small, like it doesn't look like it's up to the resolution. I think that's more on me than it is the actual animation.
Interesting, because like when I think about Samurai Champloo, I think of just like super good animation that holds up really well with like a killer soundtrack.
It might be. It just might be the way I'm watching it.
Gotcha.
Might be all like weird, but the thing is, I think the show still holds up when it comes to like the way, the vibe, aesthetically it's perfect, right? I think it's amazing. Music wise, it's amazing. Fu was cool, but you know, like I wanted another. Like I think it'd be nice to have like almost like a female counter, like, you know, like almost like a female counterpart to Mugen or Jin or either one, right? Because Fu was like almost the lighthearted comedic relief.
Yeah.
And I feel like I want a little bit more.
Gotcha.
Too. So, yeah. but that's me now, right? That's me now. Me then didn't think about these things. Me then was just like, ha, do the sword slicey thing. That's dope. so yeah, I still think the anime holds up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, for me, Samurai Champloo was like single-handedly probably what got me into hip hop in general, because like growing up, I was such a like rock music snob, and I was like, oh, hip hop, gross. Like they rap is just speaking words, man. That's like nothing. and then like musically, I'd be so snobby, like, yeah, well, they don't have like really interesting like time signature like keys, whatever.
This
you know, like
isn't in 7/8 or whatever.
Yeah, it's not like I was such a snobby little asshole of a kid when I was in middle school, but I heard I watched Samurai Champloo, and it just completely turned me around on hip hop. That's when I learned about Nujab is, and I was like, oh my god, wait, the stuff that he makes is beautiful. I didn't know like the soundtrack could be so beautiful like that. And I just the show just mixtured like some of the things I loved with things that were foreign to me, and like mixed them in a way that was just so unique. And Samurai Champloo's on my list. I love it. It's so good. Right. And I think it still holds up really, really well. I mean, maybe I need to rewatch it though, because it's been a while since I've rewatched it.
I rewatched it last year, I think somewhere mid pandemic or something like that.
Gotcha.
So I recently watched it, and so yeah. I mean, like, what about your number 8?
Okay, my number 8, which is again not really well ordered at all, is Haruhi Suzumiya. The whatever, the disappearance, the melancholy, the whatever of Haruhi Suzumiya. This show,
it's a long title.
Yeah, and depending on the season, they call it something else. But so I'm just gonna call it Haruhi. But this show was just so wacky to me when I first watched it. I didn't know what to expect. And have you watched it, Crim? I don't know if you've watched it.
No,
the show is basically, if I was to kind of encapture what it is that basically this girl, Haruhi Suzumiya, is God. Her thoughts shape reality, and she's surrounded by people who have to convince her that the world is normal so that the world stays normal. And she's this girl who like wants aliens to exist and want espers to exist. And so they do, because she's God, and she creates them into existence. But everybody wants to like keep the world as normal as possible, so they like are trying not to get her to like think too outside so it's wild. And, like the concept is just really wacky, and one of the cool things about it is that there's different ways you can watch it. You can watch it from a chronological perspective. You can also watch it in the way that the episodes were released. And so for the first time, this was a show that like really mixed up what a TV show could be to me. And that's what was so cool about this one. And they did all sorts of weird experimental stuff. Most notably, I think people talk about the Endless 8, where they, in the story, she doesn't want to start the next year of school, and so she inadvertently creates a time loop where they replay the last week before school starts for 8 episodes in a row, where only little things would change, and people were like, "Wait, what the heck? Are you kidding me? You're showing the same exact episode for 8?" But they like made it as like a narrative thing, and like it's super experimental, it's super wacky, but like I thought it was really interesting.
This concept is pretty groovy brain for my smooth brain here. So I love it. I mean, it sounds like the premise just seems like really ridiculous. So I kind of want to see what it's about. Like,
yeah. I 100% recommend this to people still to today. I mean, I haven't rewatched it in a long time, but like the show is just really wacky. And the fact that you can watch it in these like different orders too, to get like different things out of it is really interesting to me too. So yeah, Haruhi Suzumiya was definitely one of the shows that like made me really appreciate anime as like an art form aside from just being like a show that I watch. So yeah, Haruhi Suzumiya, great show.
Okay. So moving on, I've got number 7.
Okay.
You could say this may not be considered an anime anymore due to some other animes that have surpassed the genre of anime.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Also, like this next one is one that is better. Can you guess it? It's better dubbed.
Better dubbed. Interesting.
You had a quick guess? Just one guess.
Man, this feels like a riddle. It's an anime, but not really, and it's better
it's
dubbed.
Gotten bigger than an anime, and it's better dubbed.
I don't know. What is it? I'm stumped.
Okay. Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh,
right. You think Yu-Gi-Oh classic? So this is one of those things, right? Like, some people would say that Pokemon isn't really considered an anime anymore, right? Or whatever, or Yu-Gi-Oh wouldn't be considered because it got so big and it became just like its own thing. It's just not anime. It's just its own thing. And I'm going to be honest with you, Yu-Gi-Oh was huge, and it's better in English because
the memes.
the English VAs are so over the top. Everybody knows that Seto Kaiba, like everybody knows what Seto Kaiba talks about. I don't even have to tell you. I don't have to do it in person or like anything. You've already heard the voice in your head, or Joey Wheeler's ridiculous voice. You know what I mean? Hey, Yugi,
I saw
got
red
my
eyes
time
black
wizard.
Polarization. Like
You couldn't do your way out
New
of
York
a bag,
accent.
Joey. Like you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So this show kind of really laid the groundwork for a lot of things for me. I mean, I know Pokemon was like what got me into trading card games, but Yu-Gi-Oh was a whole nother level. Yu-Gi-Oh did exactly like this. By the way, this is technically when I say Yu-Gi-Oh, I mean classic Yu-Gi-Oh, because there was apparently a season before what we got in the States. Right? And that season before, why it didn't start there is because it's actually just too dark for kids. It was literally a pharaoh that went around dunking people and actually killing people with like his games, so and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
is that the manga? Did they adapt? Because
Yeah.
I remember reading the manga and being like, "This is not the Yu-Gi-Oh I remember." So
the season before what we got, the Duelist Kingdom stuff, is way darker. So that. Then we got the show. The show then became what we know now, right?
Gotcha.
And so that's got to be number 7 because like that is just come on, right? The voice acting and the game itself. And by the way, this show should be a good way to help you get into the game, but the rules of the show literally have it does not overlap at all, except for that there are cards with this name. There is a dark magician. It does not do what you think it does. Maybe it does now. I can't speak to current Yu-Gi-Oh card game, but like nobody paid for any any of their monsters. They just played them. The game is very different. You have to like sacrifice, like Dark Magician sucks. Like I would never want to play this card.
You have to sacrifice 2 monsters for that.
Yeah, you have to sacrifice. I was like, no, I'm not doing this ever. It wasn't until like I think Battle City when they finally started catching up to the rules. But you just catapult turtle something into this castle in the sky. It doesn't even make sense.
I remember that.
That's like when Ash beat Brock in the gym by Onyx may be weak to not weak to electric, but if I shock the sprinklers,
hey, wait a second! I didn't have a chance to attack the sprinklers when I was at Brock's gym.
The what? No, that doesn't make sense. Okay, sure, whatever. So that's my 7th one.
Gotcha. Yeah. No. Yu-Gi-Oh definitely was a big part of my childhood for sure. Like. As you know, we're both card game nerds, so I feel like it's a rite of passage to have gotten into Yu-Gi-Oh! And yeah, I was also very disappointed to find out that like the game does not play out the way the show makes it look at all.
Yeah, they are very different. The only thing that might have been worse was Pokemon's show to card game. The card game was much more complicated. But yeah, what about you for number 7?
Number 7 for me is going to be Naruto. Naruto, the original series, was just amazing. Okay. Are you a Naruto hater? Are you a Naruto hater? Yeah. What is this reaction? What is this reaction? Wait, what was that dismissive? Explain yourself. Explain yourself, Crim.
I actually this is not a My Hero Academia, but like. I actually didn't like shonens, a majority of shonens, just because, especially the big 3. Right? Like, I think the only one that I could enjoy moderately was Fairy Tail. Right? And that's on the back end. That's on the back end.
Right,
I'm not saying, hold on.
It's been great. It's been a great 3 episodes, I guess. And Fairy Tail? Oh my God, dude, what am I doing here?
Okay, think about it. Fairy Tail was cooler because it was wizards. Okay, like people who worked with magic. And no, the magic wasn't gray shirts missing. Like, is the fact that he had ice magic. And look, Naruto to me, I felt like it was good, right? It was good. I read the manga a little bit. I think the first 4 volumes, and then I watched the anime, and then I felt like it had the issue that just made me fall out of it. Like the same way that I stopped liking Dragon Ball Z. The same way, it's just, there's too much filler. There's too much filler, right? Like way too much. And when you're watching this week to week, right, and waiting for it, as a kid, you know how annoying it is to watch Goku charge up the Spirit Bomb for the 9th episode? You know what I mean? And the arcs just didn't resolve, right? I was a very impatient child. My attention span was do the thing, do the thing, right? Kill the person, and not right before we start our fight. We're gonna take a detour. Whoa, no, dude, go back.
I would say go back and just watch the opening. Well, I don't know how
the opener. Yo, hold on, but Naruto's openers are bangers.
No, I was just gonna say that some of the early arcs in Naruto, I still think are still amazing, and that's I feel like people downplay how good some of the Naruto arcs really were. Like the whole Zabuza arc was amazing. The Chunin arc was probably one of the most influential arcs in anime history at this point. And I
would say the first 2 arcs were pretty good.
And I they were pretty good. Think Naruto as a whole is just so important to me personally as I got into anime and to anime overall with how big Naruto is and how recognizable the series is. Is it a literal masterpiece? No, I don't think so. Not by any means. And when we talk about shows that I would still recommend, Naruto probably wouldn't be up there anymore. I don't think it's aged particularly well. I think the same thing about One Piece as well. They're just super long form. I
never liked One Piece.
Yeah.
I never liked it, dude. I never liked it.
I didn't get into it until I read the manga, and the One Piece manga is straight up a masterpiece. It is straight up 10 out of 10 good. I think One Piece
I bought the first 2 issues.
One Piece, okay, that's a different topic. One Piece isn't even allowed to be on this list, so we'll talk about it another time. Yeah. But I Naruto for me though was still just such a. It's just the thing that I grew up with. Naruto was a show that was super long, and it got big when I was in middle school, and so it was during my formative years, and so in some ways I grew alongside Naruto, and that's why I think for me when I look back on it, I still think of it as this thing that I just absolutely love. And is the show still hold up today? No. Again, like pacing back then was, like you said, just horrible. You know, like pacing and the fact that like filler arcs would happen all the time was another like annoyance.
Every third episode was a filler arc.
Yeah, it's just like it would slow down. But the good moments, the stuff that actually pertained to the story, like I still felt like were so good. And the original Naruto in particular, I thought was still really good. So Naruto's there.
As I said, I will give Naruto the first 2 seasons. However, Fairy Tail was better for a longer duration.
All right. What's your number 6? I don't want to even go. I won't even touch that.
All right. And by the way, Yu-Gi-Oh! I only recommend if you're a card gamer. And if you like shows with ridiculous showmanship. Ridiculous. Like, it's all showmanship. They just talk 90% of the episodes. But the way they do it is fun. So, my number 6, though, is Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad. Now, if you don't know, I love music. Right? I love music. So, for me, this show was one of the coolest shows that was around because you got to watch as he joined a band, right? And it was so cool seeing how I don't know if you've watched it or not, Josh, but the thing is, so Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, it's all like it's just about a dude and like his adventures in a band, right? And how they want to break it, they want to make it big, and it was so cool, like to hear the music, and it was also funny to and awesome to get to hear them sing all these songs, and they even had some in English for you. It was just a show that it was so charming, and I loved every single episode in Beck Mongolian Chop Squad. So if you're a fan of music, it's just him and like the rock songs are actually good. The rock songs are super solid. So I would highly recommend that. And I still recommend it if you're into like anime, rock music, any of that stuff, and just want to watch an anime version of what it's like to kind of like be in the 2000s and trying to break it, make it big in the bands overseas and all this other stuff. So you really get to see that, and I think that's fun.
Gotcha. I actually never watched Beck, but maybe I should. I mean, I like rock music. I play guitar. It feels like it'd be an easy one.
That middle school rock snob that you were talking about would love this.
Gotcha.
Because it was, you probably look at me. I did like a good amount of punk music and all this other stuff too. So, and rock and roll music. And that's why I think this show stuck with me. And this was such a big part of me as a musician, just enjoying it and like seeing my two worlds collide, the world of music and anime put together.
Gotcha. All right. My number 6. It's also actually kind of reminds me of why you like Beck, I think, is Fooly Cooly. Fooly Cooly aired in year 2000, so it just barely makes this one, and was just the most absurd experience ever. I remember when I watched it for the first time. It's only 6 episodes, and it's just crazy. The whole thing is just crazy. It's just like
it doesn't stop. It just goes.
Goes, and you by the time you get to the end of it, you're like, it's like a whirlwind. You just stay there, and everything in your house is now like backwards, forwards, whatever. Yeah. And you're just like, what did I just experience? I don't know.
And oddly, I'm in love with Haru, I think.
Yeah, and it's like I just like it all, and the music, the soundtrack done by the Pillows,
eyebrows.
Oh, the South Park reference that randomly shows up, like. The show is just such an experience, and I think for me, again, kind of like the way Haruhi Suzumiya was just like, I had just never seen anything like this before, and Fooly Cooly just like blew my mind, and I loved just the whole baseball vibe thing that they gave off, and like supercharged guitars, and like the imagination of it was just so wild, and Fooly Cooly is up there for me. It's just so cool.
And that's not even going over to the soundtrack that was done by the Pillows. The Pillows. That was like one of the songs I immediately learned on the guitar because Ride on Shooting Star was such a sweet guitar riff.
Yeah.
And that's and that opener, that opening 2 seconds, 5 seconds of that song, that's like the best ending you can ask for in the show, right? And I mean, holy cow! Also, like old anime outros were bangers. We had like Real Folk Blues from Cowboy Bebop. Like, I mean, obviously that's a little bit older, but yeah. So the thing here is, for Fully Cooley's on my list.
Oh yeah, did I steal one?
Fully Cooley's definitely
you stole
on my
one from
list.
me, so I get to steal one from you.
See, like, so Fully Cooley's higher up for me because I really loved how it was when you sit down and watch it, you can't just watch the 6 episodes once. You really do watch the 6 episodes and then you keep watching it and then you watch it again as an adult. And then you kind of just like look back on it and you're like, dude, this is a wild coming of age story.
Yeah.
Like, it is a wild coming of age story. So like Josh had mentioned, the imagination for them to come back, like to come up with all this stuff, and how everything is like so symbolic in its own ways, it's beautiful. And I cannot applaud this anymore. And this is so for me, Fully Cooley is my third anime. So it is a top 3 anime for me. So.
Did you watch the follow-ups, by the way, like FLCL Progressive? I haven't heard good things about it, so I'm only talking about the original Fully Cooley.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the other stuff. I've just heard very mixed things.
Yeah.
And maybe I mean, like, this is like when I found out about that, it's like finding out The Sandlot had a 2nd and 3rd movie. So
there was?
Exactly.
Oh, God.
Yeah, like and so yeah, that's a really solid. Wow, I'm curious what's higher up for you here, or I guess because it's not.
Mine's not like mine's like it's not super ordered, but Fully Cooley's up there for me.
Okay, so then my number 5 here. Speaking of, I've always loved romances and rom-coms and things like that. I do love that. And because of that, speaking of love. Love Hina.
Oh yeah,
has to be on here, right?
Yeah.
Like Love Hina.
I gotta start adding more things to my list because we just keep stealing from each other. I loved Love Hina.
Yes, Love Hina is actually what started it all, right? I mean, for me and like my love for harems and all that other stuff, because at this time I think it came out when I was in 2000, so 6th grade or something like that, or maybe summer of 5th grade going into 6th grade. And at this time, like, okay, after reading the manga, I obviously watched the show and all that, and I love every character, and I was reading it and then also watching it with like blush and eyes glistening, and I was like in love with every character. I want to make that promise. I want to find my own Naru and stuff like that. But at the end of the show, it was Shinobu that I was the most in love with. Now that makes sense in context of when I was watching it because I was in middle school. So we were the same age.
There's technically also at the very end a time skip, so I think you still check out, hopefully. I think
so.
I don't remember how old Shinobu ends up.
The thing is, in middle school, she was in middle school. I was in love with this. Like, she's so cute. And then I would just like, oh man, I'd be fawning and like flipping out over it. And the show, I think a lot of the harems use a lot of the formulas that you saw in this, and I it may feel played out now. So if you watch this now, you'll have seen the formula watered down thousands of times.
Yeah. I mean, the whole concept has been done to death, right? Like, the whole idea of having a childhood promise that like you don't really remember anymore. Like Nisekoi did that. I'm trying to think of other harem shows that have done it, but like honestly, in some ways, I think Love Hina did harems the right way, which was that like it wasn't always just about who is the main character going to get with, but also trying to discover all the interesting stories that all these girls have to tell. And that's like the one thing I really like look back. I mean, I haven't rewatched or reread Love Hina in a long time, but one of the things I appreciated was like everyone got some time in the limelight and they were all really cool characters with interesting backstories.
Exactly.
And, yeah. Like,
and that's why we were like, no, you would fall in love with the new character every time they would go over their arc. And it's like, oh my God, that makes so much more sense. They're so awesome. And like, and then of course, Keitaro wasn't that bad, right? Like he was a pretty solid. He seems vanilla now, but like at the time, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I mean,
bad. So like,
he had a lot of dedication. Let's put it that way.
Yes, yes. I mean, got into Tokyo U at this point. If you haven't seen it, okay, sorry, but like there are things that happen, and you can probably assume like once the promise is met and they do the time skip, that arc was. It was so awesome being invested that long, and then you getting to see all the characters as they progress in life, and that was so sweet. I love that show so much.
It was really, really sweet, and
it was harems done exactly like how Xell had mentioned, and it is done in a way where it was charming. It wasn't just like a harem in that haha, oops,
yeah.
And it's so the thing about it was that just it. I think the characters and the way they interact and they're still cute, they're still charming, but do you think that would hold over today? If I showed you, like, I love the Goonies, but I don't think if I showed somebody now the Goonies, they would like it. I think the Goonies suck now if they had never seen it.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I mean, one thing is that, like, again, like you had mentioned, we've seen the story now a lot of times, and so if you watched it now, you would probably be like, oh, I've already seen like a show like this before. But I could imagine that some people would find it really charming the way we did. Yeah. And I don't know. I'd have to go back and rewatch it and see exactly, because the show was extremely fan servicey, and like there's something
not compared to today's standards.
But like the heart that the story had, I think would still come through, and
it's still got the panties stealing humor, or the accidental I fell into her chest and stuff like that. But like outside of that though, like actually you capture that perfectly too, like the heart and the way they really tell the story behind it. There's the the pervy humor, but on top of that, it's just really, really like enjoyable. It's just charming. I think that's the best way you could put it. Every character is great there. But I would highly recommend it if you can appreciate the original. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're the kind of person where you're like, okay, I understand that this movie is kind of what set it off. Let's watch it. I'm not saying like this is the actual only anime that existed before that was a harem, because there were other harems, but I think this one was probably one of the better written ones. And so like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Love Hina was one of the big reasons why I took school more seriously. It was like inspiring to see Keitaro work so hard, even though he was so dumb. And I was like, dude, if Keitaro can do it, I can do it. And so I studied way harder.
An actual motivational speech I gave to myself in middle school was that Keitaro can do it. I'm going to meet my Naru.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna work hard. And that's the thing that I took away from it, was that like, hey, even someone like Keitaro, who's like failed a bunch of times, works at it hard enough, he can get it done. So
okay. And now, what about your number 5?
My number 5 is Toradora, which is another romance anime.
Toradora is good. Toradora is good.
I actually didn't watch this back when it like was coming out. It was something I watched more recently, but I don't know. It's like the classic rom-com, man. And it's done pretty well, and it's funny because like in some ways I really don't enjoy Tora all that much, because she's kind of batshit crazy. But that said, like the story itself, again, we've seen this trope a lot of times, but Toradora was just one that I just found it so sweet, and I actually can't really speak too much about it, except that it's just, even though it's very tropey and kind of falls into the same tropes that like rom-coms often find themselves in, this was one that just felt more memorable. And I don't know. I don't really know what to say. Also, I really like the art style too, and I think the animation holds up really well.
The animation's still good. Yeah, I agree with that too. So, all right. It looks like we're looking like bleeding hearts over here.
Yeah.
with our fifth pick. So we'll go on to number 4 for me. And as we wind down here, so I think this has got to be the shoujo anime. I think you know exactly where I'm going with this.
Okay.
You know exactly where I'm going with this. Yeah.
Wait, that came out during that time?
What?
Did it come out?
2000. That was like 2009, 2008, dude.
Oh, what?
Yeah, that was like 2008, 2009. The first season of K-On? The movie came out like way later. Second season, I think, came out like 2000.
Oh, by Yahala, I thought you meant My Youth Romantic Comedy is Oregairu.
Oh, no. No, yeah, sorry. I that's right. I just mixed that up too. But yes, too many animes. But no, K-On. K-On is my
gotcha.
number. But I mean, Fuwa time, like this is the shoujo anime for me, and like it is so cute. And I loved it because, surprise, the guy who loves Beck also loves this.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a trend here. Right. And like just watching them play the music, and these songs they play actually hit hard. Like I can still jam to all the songs from K-On. And I love every character. Obviously, Yui's so adorable and all that stuff. And you know, like I have a guitar almost similar to Azu, except she has a Mustang and I have a red Strat. But yeah, and then like so all the characters just are sweet, and just watching them do everyday things with the ridiculous, mentor figure that like wants to dress them up in ridiculous outfits all the time, right? Like,
wait, before we even get further, I must know, who is your favorite K-On? I'm putting you on the spot right now before we get any further, because this is the most important question. This is like a personality quiz. By who you choose here, it's like choosing your destiny.
Okay. So I think, so I don't want to be too vanilla, right? And go with Yui, but because I have all my Nendos too, but I think it's
do whatever your heart says, whoever you just like vibe with the most,
It might be Mio.
Is it Mio?
Yeah, I think
I still think I see the wheels turning right now.
Okay, because like I want to, because then as I say that, it starts rolling towards over like Tamugi, right? She's also great, but then it rolls back to you. I think. Okay, no, I'm gonna go vanilla. I'm going Yui.
Yui, okay. Yeah, all right.
She's the guitar player, same with like Azu, but Yui's like so adorable. Everything she does is like right, like the facial expressions when she's rolling on the floor, how her younger sister takes care of her.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It's
she's
just
great.
too good. She's too sweet. She's too pure. It's adorable.
Yeah, my favorite has always been Mio. She's so sick, and all of the songs that she sings are so good. Don't Say Lazy is like literally so good. I still listen to it. It's just a banger of a song. So I'm gonna go with Mio.
Mio's so close. It's like Mio and you are like 1 and 2 for me, and like not, and by a very thin margin, they'd almost just be the exact same.
Yeah.
So I think the only difference is that Yui plays guitar. That's it. That's literally my deciding factor.
Gotcha.
So, okay. So is your 4 pick Samurai Champloo?
My 4 pick was Samurai Champloo. Yeah. Okay. So the thing is that K-On for me is actually my number 1. K-On is literally my favorite during this entire era. And it's a little cheating a little bit, because like the second season I thought was really what brought K-On like full like together for me. But K-On is still just such an incredible anime. One, because the animation is godlike.
Yep.
It's a obviously it's a slice of life show, and it's like, oh, cute girls doing cute things. Wow, how good could the animation be? But if you pay attention, they did insanely detailed amounts of animation, especially if you look at their hair. They animate the crap out of everyone's hair in that show, and it makes it makes a huge difference. And it's animated by probably what people recognize as like one of the leaders in animation. Oh my God, Kyoto Animation, and and K-On's like. K-On basically started that whole trend of having band shows as like a scene in anime. Like you'll notice that after K-On, there are shows like Angel Beats that have their thing. Haruhi Suzumiya, also a show that's, I think they were also animated by Kyoto Animation, who they like passed the torch essentially on like having band shows as being like an anime thing. But
and the animation, just like when you see them play their instruments, like if you look at the fret work and everything and how it lines up, and I'm just like, dude, that's really good.
Yeah, like the animation is just amazing, and the story that they have to tell about like growing up and having to deal with the fact that you will probably go different paths when you hit college is like such a heartfelt moment. And the music when they sing that one song that they sing at the end of season 2, like, oh man, that shit will get you. Did
you read I think there's like a manga that follows them in the college years?
Oh, I haven't read that. I
think I haven't read anything about it, so I don't know. I kind of want to, but it's like, I don't know. I watched Rugrats all grown up, and that was kind of a mistake. So, but
I forgot they did that. Oh my god, I blurred it out of my memory.
So my third pick was Fooly Cooly. So we've already discussed that. So I guess what's your third pick?
I'm actually like rearranging things as we talk about it, but my third pick here is Gurren Lagann. I love Gurren Lagann. Wait, what is that face? What is that face? What's that face?
I didn't really care for it.
Oh my god!
I got bored. I know. I wanted to like this. You know, like Yoko is like cool and all, but like.
It's not about Yoko. You're focusing too much on the plot, okay? You're focusing too much on the plot. That plot.
As you've seen from my top 10.
No, Gurren Lagann, for me, was such a breath of fresh air from a lot of anime, because, like, when you think of that era of anime, the big three, One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, right? Those were the big anime that kind of, like, dominated that era. Episode to episode, the pacing was always like, well, maybe something happens this episode. Maybe. Who knows? Like, on a good day, there'll be something that happens. Gurren Lagann was a show where every episode was jam-packed. Like, episode 1, something happens. Episode 2, something happens. And it just accelerates, and it literally just keeps going higher and higher and higher into space. You know, like, they just accelerate, and they never really take the gas off the pedal. Wait, what'd you say?
As most Trigger Studios content does. And I'm not going to name any specific current ones, but you know that like Darling and things.
That 17 episode anime? Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it ended on Earth. Yes.
Yeah, it ended on Earth. Yes. No, but Gurren Lagann 2, the soundtrack also just like the intro song was one of my favorite songs of all time, and as far as openings go, and yeah, I don't know. I loved how ridiculous it was, and I just loved how far they could push the ridiculousness of it and the creativeness to just keep going, to keep like I just love that so much. And the character development within like the main character too, where he starts out as like this snotty little kid who just has no confidence in himself, and suddenly being thrust into positions of power and like and respect. Like, I thought the way that they handled that was like really incredible. And like, this was also one of the only anime that I can remember where they actually kill off somebody that you loved and you thought was going to be like there with you the whole time. And sorry, that's a spoiler, but like, if you haven't watched it by now, you should just go watch it. And
I would still, by the way, recommend this, even though I may not like it as much. It's not that I think it's bad. I don't know. For me, like, example, like the main character, I felt like was just a vehicle to move the plot. And as in, like, of course, duh, he's the main character. But the thing here is he just seemed kind of like he had to hit just the checkboxes enough, like how Luke Skywalker had to hit enough of the checkboxes, right? It's like, sure, okay, I guess. So like what I do then is I then look at the side characters. And Yoko's the only side character I liked. And not because of
Oh yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? Like there's more than that. Okay. Also, still recommend K-On! By the way.
Man, I loved a lot of the side characters in Gurren Lagann. Like I thought Rossiu was like such an interesting character. I thought Liron was secretly the most OP character of all time, and I don't know. I
think that was a big issue too. I just felt like a lot of the characters were OP.
I mean, but that's like kind of the point, you know? Like they're all just chock full of spiral energy. Okay.
But then where's the risk in anything? Like it's just
that's not the point. The point is
I know, but
we don't care about the risk.
Stakes. There have to be stakes somewhere, right?
There are stakes. The stakes was literally the human race by the end of it.
Yeah. Okay, I know what was at stake, but like it didn't feel like at any time it was like, oh no. It's like watching a Superman comic or reading a Superman comic. It's like it's fine.
Oh my god. I feel like you missed the point of the show. Like the whole show is about the idea of just going all in, you know, like who cares what's at risk? We're just going to put it all on the line all the time. And they do that. And I felt like, I don't know, after watching Gurren Lagann, I just wanted to like punch a car, you know, like I wanted to like step out into a highway and just like wrestle just cars.
Box some car coming at you.
Like,
that's a very
just
bad
punch
idea.
Him out of the way. Go over to SpaceX, punch Elon Musk. Like I just want to like punch things and like fly to the moon. Like that's like how I felt. Gurren Lagann just like instilled in me this great energy to like want to like go and do things, and that's what I loved about it.
It sounded like it wasn't do things; it was specifically two things: punch things and go to the moon.
Punch things and go to the moon.
So I think that's what like, because I didn't get that feeling, and maybe if I got that feeling, I would love it even more. If I wanted to punch things and go to the moon, then maybe that's what I was missing. I mean, I could start over. I mean, like this kind of. I'm gonna be honest with you. A good amount of trigger stuff. I wasn't a fan of. Like I didn't even like Kill la Kill or any of that stuff either. So
I actually didn't love Kill la Kill either, but I thought
which is apparently like uncommon. A lot of people love Kill la Kill. So yeah, but so see for me now, we're gonna move on for the time that we have. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up my number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Dot hack sign.
Dot hack sign. Damn.
The polar opposite of action. The polar opposite of action. This anime is just 99.9% character development. It's watching, you know, what would happen with Mikasa and all that stuff, like, you know, as they're stuck in the world. This is the you know, the, I guess one of the earlier, you want to even call it an isekai? I don't know. I mean, it's sword art. It's sword art before like sword art, right?
Yeah,
and I think it's, the thing here is like it's sword art with characters that you really like, but I mean, it has to be good character development because sword art, I think what they did is they took what Dot Hack did, but took and added more action to it, right? And they bounce from game to game and stuff. Whereas everything in Dot Hack takes place in the world. It's also where I got my nickname from, as you can see, Crim and whatnot. So, and I look nothing like him. He's shirtless, like tall blue hair, kind of like a dude version of Marge Simpson, but like, and he's a lancer, right? He's a long arm specifically. And if you also played the games, like, you know, Outbreak, Quarantine, all of them, the games were amazing on PS2, and they were worth a penny. I don't know if they still are. The characters in this game and how they kind of gathered around to like help Mikasa get home, right? Or try to get out of the game was sweet. Also seeing the characters who were like, it's just a game, everyone relax. Like characters like Sora, not from Kingdom Hearts. Sora was like the kind of like the a-hole of the show. He's like, it's fine. Who cares if you PK? Like if you play or kill people. Well, the thing here is when you're stuck in the game, you can't leave. Maybe you shouldn't PK this person. And then on top of that, you know, like you find out slowly who these people are in real life. And that really added a lot of depth to every character and why they play the world. And of course, this then goes on to like Dot Hack Roots, you know, then you have, you know, the Twilight Princess, all this other stuff. Like the world of Dot Hack has always just been so rich to me. I've loved Kite. I've loved all of them. So this is a show that was also on like, I think either Toonami or something like that, or Adult Swim. It was on at night. So it was a slower paced show. And it's one of those shows too where I couldn't just say like, hey, jump in at an episode and watch. If you miss an episode, you miss a lot. And then nothing makes sense. So you have to watch every episode from beginning to end, or else you're just not going to get all the points across.
Yeah,
so.
I remember staying up late watching Dot Hack Sign, and just like that was the first time I had encountered a show where it was about like being in a video game, like an MMO like that. And like that, I feel like I have to blame Ojii-San for giving me this like false hope that one day I could just lose myself into an MMO, like for real,
literally.
like full dive, like where are you? You know, like both Ojii-San and SAO just like made that fantasy like real in my imagination, and I curse you guys because now I have this like cursed knowledge of this thing I desperately want in the world.
Same, and like like Dot Hack did a very good job of that, especially because I think the world that was not literally, I guess literally too, and because the game's called The World, but like they world building and everything that you see in it was really cool. Like watching, like Bear go around with everyone with BT and like, or BT and Crim and all of them. So you just got the different groups within the game and just awesome characters.
Yeah, I don't remember all that much from Ojii-San anymore, but I do remember just getting this feeling of when they go into these like dungeons and like these mysterious places that it always just felt like very fantastical, I guess. It just you never knew what was around the next corner, and I think that was really fun about the show.
Yeah, and that was why it was just so cool. And I think I would recommend this for those that are looking for something like Sword Art, but if like you liked all the characters.
I like I said, I don't remember. The only thing that I remember though is that Ojii-San has the same fate as the Fate series, where the story is spread out across like multiple mediums, and so it's kind of hard to get all of it. But yeah.
Start at Sign.
Start at Sign. Gotcha. All right, I guess, so am I on number 3 or number 2?
2. You're on
number
2.
2? Okay, well, so like I said before, my number 1 was K-On! My number 2 has to be Full Metal Alchemist. This show...
Someone had to say it.
Someone had to say it. I mean, this show is number 1 rated on my anime list for a reason. I mean, this show kind of has it all, right? Like, it has action, it has intrigue, it has interesting villains, it has an interesting world. It's fantasy based, but it has like real world, like war, like, sentiments in there. There's like really gritty, dark stuff, but then there's also really lighthearted, cute stuff.
Yeah.
Wait, what's it?
The depth of every character?
Yeah, I mean, it just this show really just had it all. It even had good dubs. Like, my God, it literally did have everything. And so I don't know. This show to me, it's just one of those shows that you can recommend to, I think, like literally anybody, because it just has so much for everybody to attach to and fall in love with. And like, I don't know. I really don't know what to say. That already hasn't been said about Full Metal Alchemist. It's just an amazing show.
I love the show, and I will say that, like, there's nothing that I could say about it that you haven't heard about it already. And, if you haven't watched, or if your friends want to, like, you have friends that haven't started anime and you want to get them into it, this is definitely one of the ones I would recommend.
Yeah.
But because of how popular this anime is, and, it's like an odd, I'm being a little bit of a hipster here. Sorry. Where's my LaCroix also at the same time? But because of that, I feel like it's just an auto lock for a lot of, anime lists from this era, right? But I think my number 1 is actually not that.
Oh, okay. Ooh, drum roll. What's Crim's number 1?
Hellsing Ultimate.
Wait, hold on. Did Hellsing Ultimate actually come out during that era?
2006.
What?
Yeah, 2006.
I did not know this. I love Hellsing Ultimate.
Hellsing itself also came out, I think, within the same era of the window of 2000, 2010. It came out in 2001? 2002? Somewhere around there. Original Hellsing, right? Wasn't that 2000?
I didn't know. Okay, well, I love Hellsing Ultimate, so that's also making my way into top 10 somewhere. just bump out something. I don't know. Bump out whatever. Hellsing Ultimate's great.
Yeah, like Hellsing Ultimate is, because I love horror and all that stuff too, right? So loving horror movies, loving spooky things, this is the perfect blend of horror art style. Alucard might be the coolest character ever, right? I mean, just the long red trench coat, the dope sunglasses that always had a glare conveniently, and even at night. Look, we're not here to talk about the logistics of the sunglasses, though. I mean, whatever. The dope red hat, everything. All the characters were great. And, like, the original run, like you can just skip the original Hellsing.
Yeah, just
if I'm being honest with you, I don't actually like the original Hellsing that much. Like it's okay, it's like solid C tier, but Ultimate brings it together. This is one of the animes too where it opens, has a solid opening, a mid, a solid finish. Rare in animes. So like this is why I love this show so much. It matches everything aesthetically that I love, and it matches everything from like the action to the like there's the bloody gore and all that stuff too. And the story behind Alucard and everything is just perfect. And I couldn't this show, I feel like Hellsing Ultimate is popular. People know of it, but I still feel like for how good it is, it still feels slightly underrated.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, it's like, I don't know if underrated is the right term. It's like underwatched or maybe underappreciated. Like I think
it's underappreciated.
I think most people who've watched Hellsing Ultimate recognize that they just did a vampire story in the coolest way possible. Like the rule of cool in this show is like out off the charts. Like Alucard might be one of my favorite characters of all time because he is just, I mean, you just have to experience it. Like the depth in which they kind of showcase how crazy powerful he is, how crazy, like just everything about him. He's the perfect
anti-hero.
Yeah, he's just, it's incredible. And you see it through the eyes of, what's her face? I forgot her name.
The blonde, the blonde girl.
Yeah, the blonde girl. And you see it through her lens where she's like, well, you get introduced to her as a human and she's like struggling, you know, classic vampire stuff where you're like struggling to like coalesce the different sides of you of like vampire human. But then next to you is your mentor, and this mentor guy, he's just as vampire as it gets. And like I love every time he fights other vampires and the other vampires like, oh yeah, like I'm sick, dude, I'm like a class A vampire, you ain't seen anything like me before. Alucard's like yeah.
Victoria Saris.
Saris, that's right.
Like Saris is her first name. Yeah. So like, yeah, like she was a great character too, by the way. I really like Saris. And you also got to see like, you know, the Major and all these other characters too. It's like, so like
the Butler.
Yeah.
He was so cool.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Integral was also just such a badass.
Yup. See, like that's what I mean. Like Integro was like the design of every character was also like when I say the aesthetics of this, they really nailed that. But then the way the characters are also done is like actually on screen is badass. Like everything about it was just so cool. And watching Alucard running around with like some like deagles just like blasting things, I'm like, what? Sure, let's do it.
Yeah,
that's badass.
I will say though that this show definitely has a bunch of like content warning, trigger warning stuff because like they definitely do not hold back when it comes to like violence, and like it gets into sexual violence as well. And so like, you know, for people who do want to watch it, just that is a warning I will give to you. But that said, if you're into grimdark, this is an amazing show.
This is the grimdark anime to me. Like this is the grimdark. So I don't think that. Yeah, like, is there anything? Nothing that's been in the tone of this show as of recent has been able to capture the magic that I feel like you know, Hellsing Ultimate has been able to do.
I've always liked vampire stories, but I always felt like vampire stories end up being not very mystical, vampiric. You know, and they yeah, I don't know. There just hasn't been one.
Not counting Rosario Vampire. Mocha's still a vampire.
But Hellsing Ultimate, I thought, created the mystique of a vampire and the depth in which like their powers are like not understood and constantly putting you at awe to their like power.
Like just seeing Alucard, right? You felt like the mysticism, like you could see how people would be like enamored and captured, you know, by a vampire. It's like something about like just like without him using his power, just seeing him on screen, it's just like.
He's just a force of nature, and so you can't really understand him, and so all you can do is just witness how crazy he is. And that's something I feel like has always been missing with like vampire stories as of late. I mean, like, God, look at like Twilight. Like nothing about those vampires are like awe-inspiring or whatever. They're just dudes who are sparkly. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's nothing otherworldly about them, and like that is what they nail with the vampires in this story.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, good choice. I love Hellsing Ultimate.
Yeah, like that's probably my favorite from that era for exactly those reasons, and it was the closest thing to watching a horror movie, but in anime form for me at that time. And so, like, yeah, like I that concludes our list. I mean, we had some overlap.
Yeah.
So we had some overlap.
I think that was to be expected, I think. I'm surprised neither of us had a Ghost in the Shell. Did Ghost in the Shell come out during that era too? I thought it was the
90s. They're like original. I think there was Ghost in the Shell something. Like it came out in. There was something else Ghost in the Shell related.
Gotcha.
I can't remember which, but it wasn't the original. It wasn't the original or anything like that. But I forgot. It was like one of the movies.
Ghost in the Shell was cool, but like I didn't fall in love with it the way.
There it is.
Gotcha.
Standalone Complex. That's the one that came out in like 2007, 2006 or something like that. Yeah. But I was never I guess if we're going by movies, I guess that doesn't count. So, but yeah, like if you're wondering, I don't think that FMA Brotherhood is bad. I think FMA Brotherhood is great and highly recommend. But I think that there are some animes that I just feel like shaped me a little more than Brotherhood did. And it's not because Brotherhood was bad. So it's just like whether it was the aesthetics of the anime or like just certain it factors like Alucard has that I just couldn't shake, and that's what made me fall in love with them. So
no. I mean, this going back and doing this and just like looking back at some of these series makes me want to start watching them again, you know, because like there was just so many good ones, and there's still more that like I don't think we even mentioned, like Inuyasha, and one that I actually started watching a couple episodes of and fell in love with was Ouran High School Host Club. That show is really good and still holds up so well. And like again, you know, looking back at this, I'm like, man, there's so much stuff I could still watch from back in that era, and I think that's kind of what's cool, I think, about anime is like there's so much anime coming out always, but then there's like also such a wealth of old anime that still hold up really well. And so yeah, I don't know, it's crazy.
We call those the Eternals.
The Eternals.
So this was fun, and you know, like I think we're gonna do another episode, but the next episode will be from 2011 to current year, and that's gonna be fun. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. There's also some haymakers in there that I can't wait to see how they match up against the others. So
yeah, because you know the thing is, again, because before the modern era, like I would say 2010 and beyond, so much of the anime that we had was pigeonholed into was just a select few. And so like a lot of people have, you know, like I imagine that when people look at our list, they're like, oh yeah, I remember that anime. Like, of course, because that's basically all that was out. You know, like at this point, everybody knows about Full Metal Alchemist, right? And like Gurren Lagann and Fooly Cooly, like everybody's heard of this stuff if you've been into anime during that time or even now. And so I think this next one's going to be really interesting because anime is way wider now. There's going to be so many more shows that only like some people have watched and other people haven't. And I think next one's going to be really fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
I already stressed over this because I would say this is like some of the era of like the most like I would say kind of shaped up my anime watching self, right? And how it came to be. So now we're gonna see that what the culmination all of those will turn into, right?
How our anime taste developed over the years.
You'll get to see it all happen. And so we're gonna go over that. So and I think we're gonna get to the 2011 because this is gonna take some time because I'm gonna have to really crack down on this list. And this will take like probably 2 weeks. So next week we'll do a perfect mid-season review of everything from the spring 2021 season, and then we'll jump back into the top 10. So I guess on that, you know, we don't want to go over too long. Thank you so much for listening. As always, dude, Xell, isn't it weird? We just went over like our entire youth.
This was such a blast from the past. I feel like I've re-experiencing some memories that have been repressed for a very long time, and that was both uncomfortable and fun at the same time. So
I totally agree with that. And once again, like, you know, we probably missed some. If we did, tell us, you know, which ones did we miss? Tell us in the comments. Tell us on our subreddit where we can discuss things more in depth. You know, of course, and as always, I think the one of the biggest things here is just, you know, thank you so much for listening. Feel free to share it with your grandma, whoever, spread the word around. And we are still working on getting these podcasts up on all the, like, you know, Podbean, Spotify, all of that, Apple podcasts, everything all at once. Yeah. So bear with us, hang in there. But you could say you were part of it before we got on all the platforms.
That's right.
So,
you get a shiny gold star.
It's, you know, actually, it's more just a hypothetical.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But you'll have it on the inside, and that's what matters.
That's what matters. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, thank you for watching. Thanks for being here, Xell. As always. Like, you know, this as
I almost walked out, just so you remember. I almost walked out.
Okay. Well, thank you for not walking out. And yeah, thank you to everyone listening. So that wraps up this episode, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace. Oh, follow, subscribe, do the thing, call to action. Bye.
Bye. And we are the Nii-San Podcast. Oh wait, this way. Maybe I'm supposed to be this way. Okay.
Enter flip me, or whatever direction this needs to be to work. All right. Perfect.